Hi and welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name's Angela and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. We also have a Facebook page and Instagram account for my little shop, which is where I'm recording from today, and we're Yarn and Yarns on both of those platforms. So here on the YouTube channel you will find videos which are basically me chatting away to you about my knitting, crocheting, sometimes spinning and sewing, and also a little bit of chatter about my life as a owner of a small yarn shop. It's been a few weeks since I've recorded. The shop has started to get a bit busier, which is really nice. Obviously we're coming into autumn, winter time now, so a lot of people are starting to think about knitting again. Obviously there are some of us knit obsessives out there that will knit and crochet all year round, but I do have quite a few customers who are coming back to the shop after having a break from their knitting over the summer months. So that's nice, but it has meant that I just haven't had as much time both to work on my own projects and to do the extras like the videos. So yeah, that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. I was going to be hoping to chat to you about my first 6 months as a yarn shop owner. I did a little recap video at 3 months and I thought it'd be nice to keep that going, but I've had so little time to think about what I want to say about that, so I might just leave that until next time and try and carve out a little bit of time to go back and sort of revisit my 3-month video, see what I talked to you about then. Obviously I don't want to keep going over the same old. So yeah, that might come next time, but for today there's probably going to be quite a quick video. I thought I'd share with you the autumn window display that we've done in the shop, and also a couple of finished objects that I've got in the shop that will be going to new homes in the next few days. So a bit of a mixed video today. The other thing that's prompted me to chat to you particularly about the window display today is that next week I'm going to be changing it slightly. Obviously we've got Halloween coming up, and I mean Halloween's not as huge a thing as in the UK as it is in places like the USA, but it is starting to become more and more of a thing as years go by. So I've had my autumn display up for a few weeks now, but next week I shall be putting a few spooky things in the window just for a week or so, to kind of celebrate that. And I love Halloween and autumn, you know, just the whole season really. So yeah, I wanted to show you some of the things that we had in the window before they get swapped around. Before I do that, I might just quickly talk to you about what I'm wearing today, as I have all the hand knits on today. So around my neck I have my Pebble Beach shawl, and this is a pattern by Helen Stewart. She is also known as Curious Handmade, and it's a lovely eyelet pattern with a sort of variegation in the eyelets. So you start off where they're sort of spaced quite widely apart, and then they get closer and closer, and then down to the edge where they are really close together, and it's finished off with a lovely picot bind off. And I knit this from Yantan Tetherer yarns. I've spoken about Helen and her yarns before. This colourway, I don't think she's dyed this one for a little while. It was called Joker, and I absolutely fell in love with this, and James, my partner, gifted me a skein a couple of years ago for my 40th birthday, and then I bought a second skein so I could make the medium size version. The pattern comes in small, medium and large, so you can make like the small out of one sort of skein. It's like a sort of shawlette, and then there's the medium size, and then there's a large, which I think is maybe knit in lace weight. So there's that. And I'm also wearing my Medina cardigan, which again I've talked about on my previous videos if you've watched those. It was in one of the Rowan magazines. I believe it was the one before last. I think we're on 62 now. I'm looking around to see if I've got a copy of the current magazine on the table. I think I have. Excuse me one moment. So this is the latest one, which is number 62. So yeah, this is from magazine 61. I don't have any copies of that left in the shop. They all sold out. And it is knit from Rowan Soft Yak DK, which is a lovely mix of cotton, yak and nylon, I think, if I remember rightly. I've also got hand knit socks on, but I'm not going to try and stick my legs around my neck to show you those. But I did put a picture of my feet splashing through puddles this morning on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you might have already seen my hand knit socks poking above my ankle boots. So yeah, that's it for what I'm wearing. Okay, so I am going to just insert a little bit of video here of the shop window. So this is how the window looks from the inside of the shop. As you can see, I have got my falling leaves, which we strung and hung up. I think they look pretty effective. We've had lots of lovely comments on those. And I have a garment which is a sample knit that was sent to me by Stylecraft. I didn't knit that, but it's in lovely kind of autumnal colours, lots of mustard and a bit of green and some purple thrown in there as well. And then, as you can see, the main display, I have lots and lots of leaves on the ground, as well as the ones that we've got falling from the ceiling. And I've got my little basket of harvest fruit and veg, and then over in the corner I've got my little pumpkin patch, and also some beautiful felted mushrooms, which one of my customers is a needle felter. She makes lots of lovely things. So that's what the window looks like when you're stood inside the shop. I'm going to quickly pop outside and do a sort of quick shot of what it looks like when you're looking in, but it is raining outside, so it will be quick. I'm going to dash in and dash out. Apologies for the traffic noise in some of those video clips. There's not really a whole lot I can do about that. Obviously we're a shop on a road, and people do drive by, and I think it's extra noisy out there today because the roads are wet. So but hopefully that gives you an idea of what our window display looks like at the moment. The basket of crocheted fruit and veg was made for the most part by my crochet group, who meet in the shop every Wednesday morning. I made a few of the carrots. I think I showed those on the last video, but the rest of the items in that basket were made by them. I might just quickly go and grab that to give you a close-up, because I'm not sure how well you would have seen all of the individual pieces in there, and they are quite fun. So I've housed the display in this beautiful handmade basket. I can't remember if I've talked about these on the podcast before. There's a lovely local lady who lives here in Penarth, but was originally from France, and her father still has a property in France, and he still lives over there. He grows all of the materials on his property, and then obviously harvests those, dries them out, and Isabel goes over for her holidays and obviously to visit family, usually in the summer, and she tells me that they sit outside and they weave these gorgeous baskets together, which is such a lovely story. And we have quite a few of these for sale in the shop, and I obviously, as I have now, use them to make nice displays around the shop. So yeah, there's a little tag on each of the baskets, and it just says that they're traditional baskets made from organic willow, grown at home. The whole process of making this unique basket is a real passion, which I think is so lovely. And I've actually purchased a few of these for the shop, so they live here permanently, but some of the ones like this one that still have the tags on are for sale, so people can purchase them if they fancy. And we have different styles, so I've got some like this with the lovely side handles on, and then I have had a few like traditional baskets with the sort of big over handles in the past, but those ones tend to sell quite quickly. But they do make lovely way to display things around the shop. So, and anyway, enough about the basket. Let me try and tip this over without them all falling out. Here are some of the absolutely fantastic crocheted fruit and veg that were made by my lovely group. So we've got leeks, chilies, pears, there's a crying onion, grumpy carrot, which was one of the ones that I made, so I've chatted to you about that. We've got this really fun apple. He's a rotten apple, he's got a little worm stuck outside his head. The most adorable tiny little radishes in there. There's an avocado. Whoop, you can see him a bit better when I pull him out. What else have we got? I think, there's a lemon down the front. He's on his side. And then we've got, I think I showed you some of these before, some potatoes. We've got one with the monocle and the comb over, which is just hilarious. And then we've got another one who's got that sort of like monkey hairstyle, monk hairstyle. So yeah, they're fantastic, and we've had so many people comment about how much fun they are. And I had one lady come in recently who said that she wants to learn to crochet just so she can make an avocado. Which, you know, why wouldn't you? So yeah, that's been really fun. A little display. There's a few more that we've got just on the floor outside of the basket, so they're sort of spilling out of the basket as you look into the display. But these will be coming out for a little while next week. Some of the other elements will stay in, like the pumpkin patch will stay in, but these will come out as I put in some other bits and pieces for the Halloween display. But yeah, this has been a really fun one, and it was fantastic for me that one of the groups wanted to become involved, as it meant that I didn't have to do all of the making for the display. And some of the other groups, now that they've seen and heard that some of the customers got involved in this one, have already started asking me if they can help with things for the Christmas window display, which is fantastic. Obviously, trying to keep handmade items in the window, it's quite a lot of effort and time to make the things, so the more help that I can get, the better, really. I also wanted to just give you a quick close-up of the beautiful felted mushrooms. Again, as I've already said, these were made by one of my lovely customers, but they're so beautiful. I thought they deserved a bit of a segment of their own. So I haven't brought them all out of the window, but here are a few. I love the colour of this one. It's absolutely beautiful. I've not actually tried needle felting myself, so one thing on their list of things to try in the future. But there's another one, and this one's possibly my favourite, although it is tricky to choose. Lovely spotty mushroom with the beautiful, beautiful colours on the stalk, and look at that lovely detail underneath. So I'm actually thinking about the customer that makes these is very modest, and I asked her if anyone asked were they for sale, and she's like, oh, no one will want to buy them. But I think I am going to buy these, and I think they would look really nice if I got a lovely piece of wood and then just arranged the mushrooms along the wood, secured them on, stuck them on somehow. I haven't quite figured out the detail, but I think that would make a gorgeous, gorgeous little decoration for my house. So I think these, unless anyone else expresses interest before the display's over, I think these will be coming home to live with me. So the other parts of the window that I haven't spoken about in detail, I've got the sample garment from Stylecraft. I won't chat too much about that. They sent it to me as an item that I could use for display. It's one of the patterns that we have here for sale, and it's from the Tweedy yarn, which is a blend of cotton and acrylic. It's lovely, lovely soft yarn. And as I say, it just seemed perfect for the autumn window because of the colours. And then I also have my little pumpkin patch. In there, I have got two hand knitted items at the moment. One is the little patch pattern, which is available on Ravelry. It's a pattern by Susan Claudino, I think, just called Patch. And it's very popular, so you've probably seen that before. And the other one is a little knitted teddy, and I think hopefully I have a little video that I can insert here that I made as I finished him. So with any luck, that will be coming up now. So I have finished a thing or two. It'll probably be a week or more before I actually record my next makes video. But one of the things that I finished is a commission, and will be going off to its new home today. And the other project is very similar to the commission project, so I thought I'd show them both at once. And here they are. Ooh. Two little teddies sitting in a row. Crazy. So the first one that I finished was a cute little pumpkin teddy, and he is for our shop window. We've changed the window. Hopefully I would have chatted about that in the video that I'm about to make. This is getting all very confusing for me. But we've changed our window to autumn theme, and I am starting to grow a little pumpkin patch. So I have made this teddy in a pumpkin suit. I used Stylecraft Special Double Knit in the Lincoln colourway for his main body, and the orange colour is a Serdar country style yarn. And yeah, he was a really fun make. So he's got his little pumpkin suit, a little pumpkin hat with a stalk, and he's got a couple of leaves on his shoulder there. The pattern comes from a book called Little Bears to Knit and Crochet by Val Pierce. I don't have the book with me today, but I think I showed it on my last video because I was in process of making this guy. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about him. I put some safety eyes on him, and then I just stitched on his nose and mouth, and then I cut out the pumpkin features from felt and just stitched those onto the knitting. You knit him in pieces, so front and back of the body, head's knit all in one piece, arms are knit, and then obviously you sew them up and stuff them. Then you knit the pumpkin into two pieces and sew it up down the sides, and then you put an extra little bit of stuffing in the pumpkin so he becomes nice and plump. So yeah, that's Pumpkin Teddy. And then the lady who actually gifted me the Little Bears book asked me to knit a teddy out of there. I think she's going to send it to her goddaughter or some sort of relation or friend who has a little girl for Christmas. So she requested a little teddy in a dress. She picked out, there's a couple of patterns in the book with different sort of female teddies with dresses on. There's a bride, there's a ballerina, there's a knitting teddy in that book, so I might get round to making that at some point. But I went for this. So I used the dress pattern that was actually for the ballerina doll, but the ballerina doll had sort of netting under the skirt. It also had some like sequins and ribbon, and I know that this is going to a small child, so I didn't want to put too many bits and pieces on it. So for this one I sort of steered away from the ballerina theme, and I just used up some leftover yarn that I had. This is a Serdar, for the dress is Serdar Snuggly, and it was left over from the little baby cardigan that I knit too long ago. The colourway for this yarn is called Gracie, but unfortunately it's one of their discontinued colourways in Snuggly. They still make Snuggly, but Snuggly Crofter I should say, sorry, but they don't make this particular colourway in the Crofter. And then for the main body of the teddy I used some leftover Rowan yarn, which is Soft Yak DK, which I knit my Padina cardigan in. It's a lovely soft grey colour, and it's a cotton, wool and yak blend, I think, if I remember rightly. And she has little shoes, which obviously I've knit out of the Crofter. I tried to get them to match, but obviously I was slightly off. She's got a little bit of pink around the top of that shoe, but I don't think that really matters. I knit an I-cord to tie around the middle just to cinch the dress in a bit. As I say, on the original pattern there was some ribbon, but I was a little bit worried about adding sort of lots and lots of embellishment. But with the I-cord I've actually threaded it through the dress. I didn't make any eyelet holes or anything. I literally just knit the I-cord and then yanked it through, stuck the end on a needle and yanked it through the stitches, and that seems to have worked out quite well. So hopefully that should be fairly secure. Even if the child undoes the bow, the I-cord should stay in there, because you need to give it a good tug to be able to pull that through. I completely stitched the face on this one, although these sort of plastic eyes are branded as safety eyes. I have heard of a few cases where the backs do pop off, so obviously I wanted to make this as child friendly and safe as possible, so I stitched the face on, and then I also crocheted a tiny weeny little flower, again from a little scrap of the Snuggly, just to put in her hair there. So yeah, those two finished, quite pleased with those. The only thing that I would change if I did this again, I think I slightly overstuffed the arms on this one. She looks like a bit of a chunky girl around the arms there, but you know, she's a bear at the end of the day. So yeah, those are two finished objects. So yeah, I think that's all there is to say about the window at the moment. So I'm just going to quickly chat to you about some of the projects that I've got with me today. My Saturday morning group will be arriving in about 20 minutes, so hopefully I'll have time to go through these projects. I've got lots more on the go at home as always, but I'm going to try and make this quite a quick video, so it seemed like a good way. There are some projects which I leave in the shop to work on while I'm here, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to go through a few of my works in progress and make this a slightly shorter video. So the first one, which I have got right next to me, is a work in progress. I don't think these are going to be in any particular order, I'm just going to grab them as they come, and I am working on this beautiful pattern, which is called Persian Tiles Eastern Jewels. And at the moment this is a kit that's available from Stylecraft. So it's a crochet blanket. You can obviously see that from the front. There's a picture inside of the completed blanket. So it's not the biggest blanket in the world. It's a nice Sakuchi lap blanket. But this has recently been launched. The original pattern, I don't think I have the original to hand, but there's a pattern called Persian Tiles by Janie Crow, and I think that's been out for a couple of years. And originally these blocks were all made in lovely blues and oranges. More recently the blanket's been reimagined by a lady called Lucia Dunn. She has a blog, I think it's called Lucia's Fig Tree, and she is one of Stylecraft's blog stars. So I don't follow this 100%, but I'm pretty sure that Stylecraft work with a number of bloggers, and every now and then they send them out packs of yarn to play with, and they come up with all sorts of beautiful patterns. They're doing a blog tour at the moment, actually, Stylecraft. So if you hop on over to the Stylecraft website or Facebook page, lots of these bloggers have been sent packs of the batik yarn, I believe, and they're coming up with lots and lots of wonderful free patterns which showcase that yarn. Anyway, I'm digressing. This kit was launched last month and I just absolutely fell in love with the colours, so I had to start it straight away. I worked on it like a mad woman for about a week, but then, as happens, other things came along. I've got busy again with commission work, so obviously the projects that I'm making for myself go on the back burner when those sorts of things come along. I was supposed to be working on some Halloween bits for the window, but that hasn't happened, so I'm going to have a busy day tomorrow trying to come up with a few things to try and jazz up the window for next week. Anyway, why do I always waffle so much? I do apologise. If you've joined me before, you'll know what I'm like. So this is my progress on the Eastern Jewels iteration of the Persian Tiles pattern so far. I have made, whoops, the first row is not going to be the easiest to show. Ends hanging off. Obviously, eventually we'll go around and add a border. But I decided to work this in rows. There's 4 of these big octagon blocks per row. They're all completely different. Although obviously the pattern's the same, but they're all completely different in terms of the colours that are used on each block. So no 2 are the same, which makes it really, really fun to work on. You don't feel like you're sort of sat there churning out the same thing over and over again. And each block that I make, I sit there and I think, oh, this one's my favourite so far. And then you start the next one, you think, oh, this one's my favourite so far. It really is just a brilliant project to work on. So I've made that top row. I've also made the fill-in bits. So you do some half triangles, there's some little corner triangles, and then between the rows you make these squares. This one, oh, let me just show you this one. This one's completely my colours. See that orange, mustard, blue, oh, love that one. And then this week I have recently just started on the second row, but I've only got one of the big blocks complete. So I joined that in yesterday. So yeah, fantastic project, absolutely love it. Oh, can't wait to be snuggling under that. I mean, how colourful and lovely is that going to be in the depths of winter when it's all grey and miserable, and we want nothing but sunshine and colour. And the kit is fantastic value. So you get, so this is the colour chart. So basically, I don't think this won't give really away any secret sauce. It lists all of the colours you need, and then there is a list for each block that you make, and it tells you what colours you use in what order. So that comes in the kit. The original pattern comes in the kit, which, as I say, I haven't got mine to hand, and all of the yarn, and that you get all of that for just under £30, which is just fantastic value. It's something like, I can't remember 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 balls of yarn, and it's all made in the Stylecraft Special DK, which is 100% acrylic, but it's a nice soft squishy acrylic. I've got a big basket full of mine, another one of Isabella's beautiful baskets, and I've wound up all of my balls of yarn because I just prefer working from them like that. So they're all in the basket, and then as I'm working through the blocks, there is a lot of colour changing. So what I'm tending to do is have a look through the list and then work extra rounds of other blocks, if that makes sense. So I don't go I'm not really explaining myself properly. Let me just show you some of the bits. So I've ended up with like partials. So every time spice comes up, I'll look through the list and have I got to a stage where spice is needed on any of the other bits that I'm making, and then you switch to the next colour and I do the same. So as I say, I've got these varying bits and pieces for the blocks that are coming up, so that will mean obviously as I go through, some of the blocks will be fairly quick to make, but yeah, sometimes like I start a block and I think, oh, those colours, I'm not quite sure about those together, but then the next one comes along and it just makes the other colours that weren't really appealing to me sort of sing. So yeah, fantastic project, and that is my progress on that. You use 3 different sizes of hook at various points, a 4mm, 3.5mm, and then a 4.5 at the end to join the blocks together. Those aren't included in the kit, but obviously if you're a crocheter anyway, then you're more likely to have those hooks to hand. So yeah, so that is my work in progress number 1. I'm going to just pause for a second and go and grab some of the other things that I'm working on that I've got in the shop. I have got a couple of finished objects to show you and a few works in progress. We'll see how far we get. I am a little bit pushed for time now, so sorry if I am speeding up and rush through these a little bit, but I really would like to get a little video done and up on the channel. So I'll start with my finished objects. The first is a pair of socks. I don't have my blockers with me, so they're not going to look as smart as maybe usual. But here we are. It is a pair of vanilla socks, number 1 and number 2. They're not exactly matching. These were made for one of my customers. I've spoken about her before. She loves to wear hand knit socks. She has a real problem with arthritis in her feet, and she finds that shop bought socks just don't really fit her, whereas these make her feet nice and comfortable. So I have absolutely no problem knitting them for her. I love knitting socks anyway. She does knit herself, but she is not a prolific knitter. She comes to our groups every week, but she doesn't finish things particularly fast, and she doesn't like working with fine yarns, so I'm more than happy to knit socks for anyone who wants them. I love knitting socks, and I own a huge amount of pairs myself, so it's nice to have other people to knit with. So she picks the yarn from the shop and I knit the socks up. This yarn that she picked is Debbie Bliss Rialto sock yarn, yeah, again, I've wound this up into a cake before I start. She doesn't mind that they're not matching. This yarn has got like a really long sort of gradual colour repeat. So if I show you, I cast on here on the first sock. I got all through that first sock, and I was thinking, when I got here, I thought, oh, I might be sort of matchy, because I'd started, well, I thought I was going to be slightly out. I started with that, there's some yellow at the top, and then it goes into a bit of pink, but then as I worked down, I realised that it wasn't the same at all, and actually the pattern repeat starts again there. So I got through a good 1.5 socks before the pattern came back round again. So I mean, obviously I've got a lot left, so if you like big long socks, then that wouldn't be a problem, but if you like matchy socks, then you might end up winding off a fair bit of that, and it's not the easiest to tell whether the colour repeat is coming again. So just vanilla socks, I cast on For this lady I cast on 68 stitches on a 2.25mm needle. I used my ChiaoGoo's for these, which I really love those needles, and they're already on another pair of socks, so you'll see those coming up if I get time to talk about my works in progress. And I just put in Afterthought heels on these. I like to put in Afterthought or Fish Lips Kiss in a contrast when I'm doing anything that's got a pattern or a gradation, i.e. anything that's not a plain colour or speckles, because I'm not a fan of how the patterning changes when you interrupt it with a heel. So sometimes you get, you know, really thin stripes or thick stripes where you, if you do a heel flap and gusset or something like that, you end up with obviously extra stitches, which affects the pattern repeat. So yeah, that's those. I can't remember what the colourway is. Bear with me a second. I will see if I can quickly. You're balancing on my laptop, so I'm just going to see if I can pull up my projects page on Ravelry. And with any luck, I've been organised and added to my project there the yarn colourway. Here we go. It's colour 22, which is called Soundwave. Lovely blues, pinks and yellows. So yeah, that's finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 I showed on my Instagram for Yarn and Yarns and on our Facebook page. It is a giant, big, cosy, snuggly cowl. Oh, love it. So this is some brand new yarn that we have in store. It's from Sirdar and it's called Bohemia, and they call it an ultra super chunky. Does that make any sense? I don't know, but it's this giant yarn. It's a wool acrylic mix. It's almost like felted. It's just really big chunks of fibre, really fun to work with. You knit, so it comes with a free pattern. These are the 4 colourways. So there's this lovely grello, which I'm thinking about knitting something for me out of that one. The colourway that I used in my finished sample is this one, which has got the greys, the blues and the pinks. There's this one with purples, pinks and blues, and then the final one, which is a rainbow riot of bright colours, which I love. So yeah, they're the 4 shades that it comes in, or there's one sample of each knitted up on the front of the pattern. You use 20mm needles. Yes, 20. It's like knitting with broom handles. Honestly, I had 2 projects on the go on the same day. I was knitting that cowl with 20mm needles, and I was knitting my socks on 2.25. So you can imagine how weird that felt, swapping between these giant needles and these tiny needles. So one hank of that makes this super squishy, cozy cowl, all nice and snuggly and warm for the winter. Super quick to knit. I think I knit it in probably an hour or less. I took it this week. I went and did a volunteer stint with Craft Group. I've talked about them before on my video that I did, which was a little vlog of my week. I sometimes go and volunteer with a group. It was set up to help people with mental health issues, and I took this project along to that group, and everyone had a go on the big giant needles, and it just, yeah, it was a source of much hilarity, which was really fun. So yeah, I don't think there's much really to say about that. I'm pretty sure I shall knit some more of those. Super quick, fabulous gift knitting. If I'm thinking about knitting one of these for me in the grey, yellow, bluey sort of colourway, but if I do one of these for me, I think I'll cast on sorry, losing my voice. I think I'll cast on slightly more stitches and make it slightly stubbier. So when I put this on me, it sort of hangs down quite low, and actually I'd quite like right up, given that it's nice thick cozy yarn, I'd really like it to be sort of quite close fitting. So I figure if I cast on a couple more, make it slightly wider, it's easy to sort of smush down, so I don't think that will be a problem, but if I do it slightly wider, it'll become slightly shorter. It's not long enough to like wrap around twice. So yeah, that's the Bohemia yarn from Serdar. It's quite nice. It costs £10.95 a skein, so quite a nice gift knit. As I say, not super expensive, really quick. So yeah, there could be some people that get some of those for Christmas. I've got 3 works in progress. See how many of these we get through. First is a pair of socks. Of course, having cast off a pair of socks, I needed to cast on a pair of socks, which is completely ridiculous because I've already got 2 other pairs of socks on the needles. 2? Yeah, 2. But I need to try and knit a pair of socks by Friday. It's Saturday today. I need to get these in the post by next Friday, ideally, for my mother-in-law's birthday. It's her birthday next Monday. You might remember, actually you probably won't because I don't think I've chatted about it on the video. I knit her a pair of socks. I posted a picture on Instagram in the lovely Bergère de France Gumi 50. The colourway was Imprime Ciel, C-I-E-L. Perhaps I did chat about these as a work in progress. And when I finished them, they just look so wintry to me that I thought I can't give these to her for her birthday. They'd be perfect for Christmas. I then cast on a second pair that were going to be for her birthday, but I fell in love with that colourway so much I'm keeping those. I know, ridiculous, couldn't give them away. So now, last night, a week before I need to send these off, I cast on a second pair with the hopes that I can get these finished. Again, these are turning out quite wintry. I don't know why I'm putting myself through this. She might get the original pair of socks. Here they are. So, I'm using my ChiaoGus, which I mentioned earlier, with the lovely red cord. Love these. They're not as sharp as my higher sharps, but they're just sharp enough. And I like the cord on these and the join. It's great for Magic Loop. I'm using 2 different yarns. The Contrast Toes, Heels and Cuffs. Again, another Bergère de France Gumi 50 yarn. It's in a plain colour. It's quite a strange colour. It's called Thyme. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's basically the herb thyme, but without the E on the end. And it's kind of like a deep greyy, greeny, bluey, charcoaly sort of colour. It's really difficult to describe, and I'm not sure if that's fairly true. Slightly more tealy in real life than it's showing there. I picked this up at Wonderwall back in April. There was a stand, I can't remember what the stand was called, but it was basically a stand of commercial yarn at discount prices, and they had a couple of random 50-gram balls of Bergère de France Gumi 50, and I can knit a pair of socks out of 50 grams if I use contrasting heels, toes and cuffs, but I picked up this specifically for contrasting heels, toes and cuffs, and actually I picked it up to go with one of the Gumi 50 colourways, but when I pulled this yarn out, I thought this would be perfect because it's got those sort of like grey, deep grey stripes in the yarn, and it does look lovely with this yarn, so I'm really pleased that I've gone for that, and I should still have plenty left over to use it as a contrast for the yarn that I originally picked it for. This yarn is an opal yarn. It's actually one I'm cheating a little bit here. When if you watched the videos before, back in the summer, you might remember that we had a leak in the shop roof, and I had some of my books were damaged and a few bags of yarn were damaged. Not much in the scheme of things, which is great, but this was actually one of the skeins of yarn that got completely waterlogged. I dried them all out at home, and they're all fine, but I wouldn't want to sell them because obviously they've been through that, and I just wouldn't feel right about that. A couple of them actually have gone in the sale basket, which is fine because I'm behind me. I don't think you're going to be able to, just about, I might tip you down. So there, I have all of my yarns that are discounted for various reasons, and I tend to keep that topped up, so either discontinued yarns or the odd ball when we get to one ball of something left in a dye lot, or just random odd bags that I've found. There's lots of those that I found in the shop after I took over, so I tend to keep that going. I'm rambling again. Here's me saying I haven't got much time, and then I go off on a rant about sale yarn. What am I like? So, and I've completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, so this was a yarn that I wouldn't be comfortable to sell because it did get water damaged, but actually it's absolutely fine, and you know, yarn's designed to be washed, so as we know, a bit of water's not going to do it any harm really. So this colourway, I'm not entirely sure what it is because the ball band came off, but I am 99.9% confident it is this one, which is an opal yarn. On the label it's colour 7476, says Daisy and Dye Dire Genten. Ooh, I never did German at school, as you can tell. Let me see if I can you see that? And I think this was part of their endangered species series. I think that was the theme. So they had a few different yarns that were sort of dyed to represent different animals. I've got the odd skein of it left, but most of it's gone. This one's got some cute penguins on the label. So yeah, I'm 99.999% sure. Yeah, it definitely is that one. So yeah, colourway 7476. It's knitting up lovely. I cast this on about 8 o'clock last night, went to bed about 11:30, finished the leg before I went to bed. So I'm fairly confident I can get these done. I'm at the point now where I need to put in a heel. I think I'm going to do an afterthought heel just because I want to knit on this in the shop, and although I have the Fish Lips Kiss heel in memory and I could pop that in, obviously when I'm in the shop I end up picking up my knitting and putting it down as people ask me different things, and sometimes it just distracts me and I get the where I am in the heel wrong. So I think I'll just put in some contrast yarn and cut it out and do it at home when I can concentrate on popping that in. So yeah, hopefully those will be done in time for Friday so I can get them in the post for mother-in-law's birthday. Right, 2 other projects. Let's see if we can get these done. Should be quite quick. First one, I am knitting a baby cardigan, and of course I've left the pattern on the counter. So this is a commission. I'm knitting this pattern. It's Serdar 1767. It's just a nice simple cardigan. I'm actually going to be knitting the v-neck version up here. I am using some gorgeous mustard colour yarn. This is Debbie Bliss Mia, which is a wool cotton blend. The yarn is now discontinued, but I still have a few bags left, not many now. But the person who commissioned this wanted a mustardy colour, so my eye went straight to this, and she was very, very happy with that. So it's not super exciting to show you at the moment, but I've knit the back. It's just a really quite easy broken rib really. So I've got the back piece, I've got excuse me, got the 2 front pieces done, and I have just cast on for a sleeve. Not much progress on that yet. Oh, there's that yarn. I've just found some orange yarn. I was looking for that the other day because I wanted to knit up a couple of pumpkins, couldn't find it. Now I found it. I didn't talk to you about the project bags for my project. So this is my sock is in here, and this is a tiny weeny little bag which I purchased from the Curious Needle on Etsy. TARDIS fabric, love it, perfect for socks. You can't get really anything other than one skein in there. I've just about managed to squeeze my opal yarn and my Berger yarn in there, but the opal yarn is not a full skein. There was a knot in the yarn, so that's probably about 60 grams, so that's probably why I've managed to squeeze those in there. This one, the jumper is being kept in my little Japanese girls bag, which I think I've shown on the podcast before. I tend to use this for all of my little baby garments. I don't know why, I've just got in the habit. And I've got a pair of 4mm and 3.25mm needles shoved in here, so I think everything just sort of stays in here and it's easy. They tend to be the sizes used when I'm knitting a little double knit cardie. So yeah, I think that's all there is to say about that one. It's been on the go. I usually knit these in like a couple of days. There's something about this though, I just haven't really fancied. I love the colour, I think I'm just a little bit bored of the broken rib, to be honest. Although I'm only making little pieces, it just seems to take forever. But hopefully that will be off the needles soon. One more project to show you, and it's a biggie. I'm just looking at my watch because I'm pretty sure that people are going to start arriving soon. So I'm just going to give you a quick flash. And this is the Speckle Pop Mystery Cow, Stephen West. I'm so behind. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I'm so behind. The fourth and final clue came out on yesterday, and I'm still on clue 2. So I'm pretty sure most people will have seen this now on Instagram. If you don't want to see, look away now. But I'm going to give you just a really quick flash. It's all bunched up on the needles, so it's not going to look the prettiest. But there is my clue 1 with all of the wedges. It's really difficult to show. And then I'm working on the clue 2, which is like textured pattern across the top. I'm not doing a very good job of showing this at all. It's massive. The first clue. I mean, the first clue is what put me behind. It just took days and days to knit. The second clue's been much quicker, but to be honest, I've lost a bit of steam with it. So I've brought into the shop today. I have got a group that's coming in today. They come once a month. It's a really casual group of ladies. I only work on in the shop on projects that are either from patterns or yarn that are available in the shop, but this is much more of a sort of knit and natter type group, and they're very interested in all sorts of projects. So I'm not worried about not knitting commercial yarn available in the shop while they're in here. So my 3, again waffling, I'll just try and quickly run through my 3 yarns. You need 3 main colours and then 5 contrast colours. Obviously the hardest part about a mystery knit along is choosing your yarns, because you don't know what you're making. So I chose 3 very close together. I'm thinking now maybe I should have gone for something with a bit more contrast, but I guess I'll see at the end what I think. But I've got 2 yarns from Little French Meadow. I have got this one, which is Ants Spoil the Picnic, which is a lovely kind of creamy yarn with just grey speckles. That's my colour 1. And then my colour 3 is this one, which is Paris Skies, I think it's called, which again, it's got that lovely sort of creamy base, but flecks of blues and pinks and purples, really nice deep colours. And then in between those I have put this one, which is from Life in the Long Grass. This I think was an exclusive colourway for a Yarn Story, which is a lovely shop in Bath in the UK. If you ever get to visit, I would recommend it. And I think this might have been called Faded Hydrangea. So that's my colour 3. Ooh, let's see if I can hold them all up together. So you do kind of get a bit of a fade, but it's very subtle, particularly in the stripe sections. You can't really see some of the colours in the hydrangea, faded hydrangea, reflected in there, and vice versa. So when they're striped together in just a couple of rows, you don't really get to see those very well. And then my contrast colours, I have got, I've just used leftovers and mini skeins. So this blue is a lovely mini skein that I bought from the lovely Jenny of Owl About Yarn. The pink is a mini from Mothy and the Squid that I was lucky enough to win on one of her Instagram giveaways. The orange is Cascade 220, and that was left over from some socks that I made last year, a pattern by CC Almond, I think it's called I Love You More Than Pumpkin Spice. It's a pair of lovely socks with a pumpkin cable up the middle. The yellow is from West Yorkshire Spinners in their signature 4-ply range. I can't remember the colourway, but just one of their plain uni colours. So yeah, that's my contrast. Oh, and the green. The green is Drops Farball. And again, I bought a ball of that to use for contrast heels, toes and cuffs in one of the drop sales that quite often happens. So yeah, I'm trying to enjoy that knit. I was a little bit stressed out because I'm behind with the clues, and obviously it's really hard to avoid spoilers. Lots of people on Instagram have been very, very good, and I've posted sort of like you can post multiple pictures on Instagram now. So they've posted like a cover shot and then you have to swipe to see the spoilers. But some people have just gone ahead and, you know, popped a picture of their progress and you can't unsee it. So but now, you know, the mystery is pretty much over. A lot of people have been super fast and have knit all the clues, so I kind of know where it's heading now, which means I'm taking the pressure off myself a bit. I'm not rushing to try and keep up with the mystery cow. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with myself that I haven't been able to keep up, but that first clue was just so long, and obviously I've got lots of projects on the go. I think maybe I've done mystery cows before, a couple, and others I've been able to keep up with, but I think this project I should have known actually from the yarn requirements. I mean, 3 main colours and 5 contrasting colours is not going to be a small shawl, is it? So I kind of should have expected it, really. Morning guys, it's Sunday now. It's a nice bright, if a bit chilly start to the day. I'm sure you can hear my crazy cat meowing. I'm out in my garden at the moment. Not sure what time it is, maybe about 9 o'clock in the morning. James is inside but he's still asleep, so I thought I'd pop out into the garden, enjoy some of the blue skies that you can see behind me. You can also see one of my neighbours is having lots of work done. I didn't get a chance to finish my video off yesterday. As predicted, a couple of my group arrived, so I only just slightly ran out of time. I was chatting to you about my Speckle Pop mystery cow, and I've since finished clue 2. When I got home from work last night, I sat down and finished clue 2, and I've put the shawl onto a slightly longer needle. It's still a bit bunched up and I don't think it's going to be that easy to show you, but here it is. So you can see the sort of chevron wedges of clue 1, and then got the textured wedge that was clue 2, and I've just finished that off with the band of contrast colour, so I'm ready to move on to clue 3. Probably won't be today though. I think I'm going to have a go at making some more pumpkins and maybe a few little fun Halloween things to finish off the window. I've got in mind to maybe make a few eyeballs and some gross things like that, but I'll see how far I get. If it stays nice like this, I think we'll probably go out and about and enjoy the weather, wrap up. This morning, to ward off the cold, you might be able to hear the breeze a bit. I'm wearing a nice, really simple, easy seed stitch hat, which I test knit for the lovely Caitlin French. You should definitely follow her on Instagram if you don't already. She's a very talented designer. Also wearing my Lucinda jumper, which I've chatted about on my previous videos. But yeah, I've got a nice cup of tea inside, and just waiting for that to cool down. I'm gonna hop on in and start making some pumpkins and eyeballs. So if you've stuck with me through the video, I did manage to splice together the bits that I recorded yesterday, and despite me saying, oh, this could be a really quick video, it's managed to be about an hour long, so I don't know how I manage it. How people make like 20-minute videos, I don't know. I talk too much, obviously. Anyway, thank you for sticking with me if you've made it this far, and hopefully it won't be as long between videos before I see you again next time. So goodbye and woolly hugs to you all.